Alright, in this lesson we are going to be solving right triangles using the trigonometric ratios tangent, sine, and cosine. And of course solving a right triangle means finding all the unknown sides and unknown angles. Alright, so problem number one, we're supposed to find the hypotenuse MN. Well, we don't need a trig function for this. If you're given two sides and you're asked to find the third side, that's all about the Pythagorean theorem. So, like if we call this x, then it's like a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? So we're talking about 15 squared plus 7 squared is equal to x squared. Alright, so 15 squared is 225. Plus 7 squared is 49 is equal to x squared. Alright, add those up, you get 274. Okay, so we've got 274 is equal to x squared. So of course to get x by itself, I'm just going to take the square root of both sides. Okay, so the square root of 274 okay, let's go ahead and make it a decimal, I guess, is 16.55. Wait, they said the nearest tenth, so that's 16.6. Okay, so that will be the answer to problem number one. Will be 16.6. Put it off to the side. Okay, now for problem number two, we're supposed to find the measure of this angle. Now we don't know either angle, so now we're going to need some trig functions. In fact, we're going to need inverse trig functions. Anytime you're looking for an unknown angle and you don't know either angle, you can bet you're going to need inverse trig functions. So if I want to find angle M, then of course I'm focusing on this right here. Now, we're given these two sides, the 7 and the 15. So your first step is to ask yourself, which trig function involves these three things? Well, from the perspective of angle M, this 7 is the adjacent leg. Alright, and this 15 is the opposite leg. Alright, because x there is the hypotenuse. So, we have opposite and adjacent. So, we'll look at the trig functions, or think about them, and ask ourselves which one of these involves the opposite leg and the adjacent leg. Alright, hopefully you can quickly see that tangent of an angle is opposite leg over adjacent leg. Alright, so that tells us to use the tangent function. So it's always tangent of the angle, so we'll say tangent of angle M is equal to opposite over adjacent, so that's 15 over 7. So if you want to find the angle, which we do, we use inverse trig functions. So that means the measure of angle M will equal the inverse tangent of 15 over 7. Okay, so the inverse tangent. So you see that if you look at your tangent button, above the tangent button you see this little tan -1. That's the inverse tangent that we're talking about. So we have to hit second tangent, so it's inverse tangent. And now, what was it again? 15 over 7. So 15 over 7. Okay, and this is giving us the angle. So to the nearest tenth, we've got 64.9, but we have to round up. So that's actually going to round up to the next whole number. So this will be 65.0. Alright, so angle M is approximately 65 degrees. Okay, so now we have angle M. Let's go ahead and write that down. Alright, so that was 65 degrees. Once we have one of the angles, alright, since angle M is 65 degrees, the other angle, we don't actually need to do the inverse trig thing again. We can just subtract from 90. Alright, these two angles, since all the angles in a triangle add up to 180, and this is already 90, alright, 180 minus 90 is 90. So that means the other two angles have to add up to 90. So the quickest way to find angle N is just to do 90 minus 65. Okay, and that's going to be 25 degrees. Okay, so that's the measure of angle N, 25 degrees. Okay, so we solved that triangle. Now in this triangle we're given three pieces of information, including the 90-degree angle. We've got an angle, and a side. So we need to find the other three pieces of information: the side, and the missing angle. Okay, so let's see. It doesn't really matter what order you go in. So I'm gonna just go ahead and find QR first. Okay, so I'm gonna find QR. So if I'm looking for QR, see, let me just call this like if I call this X for a second, then I'm looking at this, I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at this. And I ask myself, which trig function am I talking about here? Well, from the 37, this X is adjacent, alright, because adjacent means right next to. The 22 is, of course, the hypotenuse, no matter what angle you're looking at. So we have adjacent and we have hypotenuse. Okay? So, which trig function is that? Adjacent and hypotenuse. That's the cosine function. Okay, so I'm going to set that up by going cosine of 37 is equal to, and that's adjacent over hypotenuse, so that'll be X over 22. Okay, so if I want to solve this for X, okay, actually let me not use X because I want to make it clear that I'm finding QR. Maybe I'll just put a little QR right here. Okay, so QR means the distance from Q to R. It's a number. So I'm finding QR right now. So to solve this, I will simply multiply both sides by 22. Okay, that way these 22s will cancel out, and now I'm ready to know what QR is. Alright, so QR is equal to 22 cosine 37. So I can just put that in the calculator. 22 cosine 37. Okay, so I'm getting 17.56 blah blah blah. So this will round up because of the 6. So 17.6. Okay, and we don't have any units or anything, so that is QR, 17.6. Okay, now let's find PQ. So I'll forget about all this and sort of start over. Okay, so if I want to find PQ, alright, so now focus your eyes on this. So we have PQ, and you know, we still have the 22 and the 37. So looking at these three things, of course 22 is still the hypotenuse. Now from the 37, PQ is opposite, because opposite means across from. Alright, it's the one that's farther away. So we have opposite and we have hypotenuse. which trig function am I going to use? The sine function. And you should say sine, not sin. This is an abbreviation, but it means sine. So sine of an angle is opposite over hypotenuse. So let's use that. So if I set that up, I'm going to write sine of 37 is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So that's PQ over 22. So this is really the same thing like the previous problem. So I will multiply both sides by 22. Okay, so these 22s will cancel out. Okay, so that's going to give me PQ is equal to, so again I'm just going to put 22 sine 37. I'm just going to put this in my calculator. Oops, wrong thing. Okay, so 22 sine 37. So that's going to be 13.2. Okay, so 13.2. Alright, so I have found the two sides so far, and now I need to find the missing angle, angle P. Well, that's easy because they already gave us one angle. These two angles are complementary, meaning they have to add up to 90 degrees. So the fastest way to find angle P is just to subtract from 90. Okay, so the measure of angle P, if I want to find the measure of angle P, is going to be, P is equal to 90 minus 37. Okay, so that's going to be 53 degrees. Okay, so that's it. We were given 3 pieces of information. We solved for the other 3. Okay, so altogether there's 6 pieces of information in every triangle, 3 sides and 3 angles. So I'm just saying it that way so you'll kind of know when you're done. If you didn't find 3 pieces of information, you're missing something. Alright, so let's move on to number 5. So again, we're given 3 pieces and we're looking for 3 pieces. We're given 2 sides and an angle. We need to find 2 angles and a side. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to go after angle P first. The order doesn't really matter, but I'm going to try to find angle P first. So looking at angle P, alright, angle P is this angle right there. And then we've got the 11 and we've got the 18. So we have to ask ourselves, which trig function am I about to use? So from angle P, 11 is adjacent, alright, because adjacent means right next to, and the 18 is opposite, because opposite means across from. So we've got opposite and adjacent. So which trig function is that? That's the tangent function, opposite over adjacent. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up the tangent function. So we will say the tangent of angle P is equal to opposite over adjacent, so 18 over 11. Now if you want to find an angle and you don't already have one, then we are going to use the inverse trig function. We'll get you the angle, the inverse trig function. So you have to show this step. Alright, don't just put it straight into your calculator. So the tangent of P is 18 over 11. That means P is equal to the inverse tangent of 18 over 11. Okay, and then you can just put that in your calculator. Inverse tangent of 18 over 11. So inverse tangent, so I have to hit second tangent 18 over 11. Alright, so that's 58.6, got to round up. 58.6. And this is an angle, so degrees. Use the degree symbol. Alright, so we found the first angle, 58.6 degrees. So we might as well find the other angle now. Alright, so this is 58.6 degrees. Once you have one angle, finding the other angle, you really don't need to do the inverse tangent thing again. I mean, not that it would be that difficult, but these two angles have to add up to 90 degrees. They got to add up to 90. So the most efficient thing to do to find angle N would just be to say that angle N will equal 90 minus the other angle, 90 minus 58.6. Okay, so the measure of angle N is going to equal okay, so that's 31.4 degrees. Alright, don't forget your degree symbol. So we found the measure of angle N. Okay, so we found two of our pieces of information. We still need one more. We need to find the missing side, Pn. Okay, now for that we're just going to do the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, we don't need a trig function for that. So anytime you have two sides and you're looking for the third side, just use the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so this is Pn. So it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Make sure that your hypotenuse is the one that's off by itself in the equation. So this is going to be 11 squared plus 18 squared is equal to Pn squared. Okay, now I think it would be fun to just put this whole thing in the calculator. 11 squared plus 18 squared. Okay, so that's 445. Okay, so if I want to solve this, I will take the square root of both sides. So that'll give me Pn. So the square root of 445. Okay, decimal. So 21.1 got to round up. Alright, and that those are the three pieces of information that we needed. Okay, this video is long enough, so I'm going to stop this video here, and we will continue with this practice, picking up with number 6 on the next video. So see you on the next video.